Picture London, but not, the postcard pastel dress version. I want you to go back to the summer of 1858.
It was a legendarily brutal summer.
It's 35 degrees Celsius, that's 95 Fahrenheit, in a city made of brick and stone. The air is thick, it's heavy, and it's not moving. But the heat isn't what hits you first.
No, not at all. It's the smell.
A smell so powerful, so physically overwhelming, that history actually gave it a proper name. They called it the Great Stink.
And we're not being dramatic here. We're talking about a stench so bad that people were, according to the records we've got, literally vomiting in the streets just from walking near the River Thames.
Because the river was drying up and what was left behind wasn't really water anymore. It was, well, everything else.
Exactly. And, while it's easy to chuckle at the name now, this was a terrifying moment. It was the point where a global city almost choked on its own success, on its own waste.
So today we are going on a deep dive into something we all use multiple times a day, but we probably never ever think about. We're talking about plumbing, toilets, and the surprisingly fascinating world of sewage.
It sounds kind of mundane, I know. But if you look at the stack of research we have here, we've got Victorian engineering notes, the physics of a siphon. This is really the story of how civilization survived itself.
That's the perfect way to put it. Our mission today is to trace that journey, how we went from, chucking buckets out of a window to the complex marvels humming beneath our feet. And that whole story really pivots on that one hot summer.
It does. To really get the Great Stink, you have to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Between 1800 and 1850, London's population it exploded.
It doubled, right, to over 2.5 million people.
Making it the biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
But the infrastructure was still, for all intents and purposes, medieval. You had all these people, factories, slaughterhouses, and all their waste was going into these things called cesspits.
Which are literally just brick-lined holes in your basement.
Yes, exactly. And when they got full, the system was supposed to be that a night soil man would come and shovel it out. But the city was too big, there was too much waste, and it was too expensive.
So people started looking for an easier solution.
They did. They started connecting their drains to the sewers that were already there. But those sewers were only ever meant for rainwater.
Just for rainwater, not for everything else.
Not for everything else. And suddenly, all this raw human sewage is being piped directly into the River Thames.
And here's the part that is just mind-blowing. The Thames wasn't just their sewer.
No. For a huge portion of the city, it was also their source of drinking water.
It's a disaster waiting to happen. So 1858, this huge heat wave hits, the river level drops, and it exposes banks of just feet of raw, compacted filth baking in the sun.
And this is where it gets political. The Houses of Parliament are right there on the river. The smell was so overpowering that MPs literally couldn't work.
They couldn't debate.
No. They were running around soaking curtains in chloride of lime trying to block out the stench. They even dumped tons of lime into the river, but it did absolutely nothing.
But the reason they panicked, and this is so important, it wasn't because they understood germs, was it?
No, not at all. This is the key. The germ theory of disease wasn't a thing yet. The dominant medical idea was the miasma theory.
Miasma meaning bad air.
They thought the smell itself, the actual vapor rising from the sewage, was what caused cholera and typhoid. They believed the stink was the killer.
So because they could smell it right in the House of Commons, they thought they were breathing in death.
Exactly. And that personal fear is what got things moving. A bill to fund a brand new massive sewer system was pushed through Parliament in just 18 days.
18 days! That is unheard of speed for any government anywhere.
Well, nothing motivates a politician like a threat they can smell from their own office. And that panic finally opened the door for the hero of this story, Sir Joseph Bazalgette.
I love this guy. A true civil engineering icon. But he wasn't new to this, was he?
No, he was the chief engineer for the Metropolitan Board of Works. He'd been trying to get plans approved for years, but they always balked at the cost. The Great Stink basically gave him a blank check.
And the scale of what he proposed, it's just staggering. It's not just a few new pipes.
Oh, no. It's a whole new underground geography for London. He understood the core problem was that the tide in the Thames just washed the sewage back and forth. It never left the city.
So his solution was what?
Intercepting sewers. He designed this huge network of brick tunnels running parallel to the river. They would catch the sewage before it hit the Thames and carry it miles east, out of the city.
The numbers here are just wild. 2,000 kilometers of tunnels. The main interceptors were as big as railway tunnels.
And he reshaped the city above ground, too.
Yeah.
You know, the embankments like the Victorian embankment.
Yeah, the beautiful roads along the river.
Those aren't natural. Bazalgette reclaimed all that land from the river to house his main sewer line, and then built roads and public gardens on top.
So you're literally driving your car on top of the sewer.
You are. Yeah. But here's the genius part. London is mostly flat. How do you get all that waste to move for miles?
Ah, gravity.
Gravity, but an incredibly precise amount of gravity. He calculated a fall of exactly 2 feet per mile.
That sounds tiny.
It had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Any steeper, and the flow would be too fast and erode the bricks. Any flatter, and the solids would settle and clog everything. He found the Goldilocks slope.
And he did all this with slide rules and paper. It's incredible.
It's a masterpiece. But of course, eventually you get so deep you can't rely on gravity anymore. You have to lift the sewage back up.
And this is where we get the cathedrals of sewage.
Yes, the pumping stations at Abbey Mills and Crossness.
You'd expect a sewage pump to be this grim industrial building.
Not with the Victorians. These places are beautiful. They're built in this ornate Italianate Gothic style. Crossness looks like a cathedral inside. Intricate ironwork, gold leaf, massive columns.
But instead of an altar, there are giant steam engines.
Huge 50-ton beam engines, just pumping away. It was a statement. It was them saying, we have conquered waste and we're going to make it beautiful.
And the results were almost immediate. Once the system was running, cholera in London just vanished.
It did, which leads to this slightly tragic figure in the story, Dr. John Snow.
Ah, yes. He's the one who figured out cholera was spread through water, not air.
Years before the Great Stink, yeah. He traced an outbreak to a single water pump in Soho. But the medical establishment just completely ignored him. They were all in on the miasma theory.
So Bazalgette builds his system to stop the bad smell, but in doing so, he accidentally cleans up the water and proves Snow right all along.
Now, the saddest part is that Snow died in June of 1858, right in the middle of the Great Stink. He never knew he'd be vindicated.
What a story. Now, Bazalgette is the modern hero here, but it's clear from the sources that humans have been dealing with this problem forever.
Oh, for millennia. Plumbing is ancient. We found street drains in the Indus Valley from 4000 BCE.
The Egyptians had copper pipes in the pyramids. For what? Bathrooms for the afterlife.
You have to be comfortable. But the first real flush toilet, that was the Minoans on Crete. Around 1500 BCE, King Minos had one with a wooden seat.
1500 BCE. It feels like it went backwards for a few thousand years.
We absolutely did. The Romans perfected it. The word plumbing even comes from their word for lead, plumbum. They had the aqueducts, the Great Sewer, the Cloaca Maxima. But when Rome fell,
sanitation went with it.
Yeah, we entered the dark ages of hygiene. Castles with toilets that just emptied into the moat. It was a massive step back.
Until we get to the Renaissance and a guy named Sir John Harington.
Godson to Queen Elizabeth I.
And the reason we sometimes call the toilet the John.
That's the story, yeah. In 1596, he invents a flushing toilet for the Queen. It had a tank, used water. It was the real deal.
So why didn't it catch on?
Basically bad PR.
Hey.
He wrote this book about it that was full of puns, and the court just thought it was vulgar and ridiculous. He got laughed at, and the invention was forgotten for centuries.
So the technology was there, but the social stigma held it back.
Amazing.
No.
Okay, so even with the flush, there's still a huge problem. The smell coming back up the pipes.
Right. And that's not just a smell. Sewer gas is methane. It's toxic. It's explosive. This is the real aha moment. The problem wasn't the water. It was the seal. And in 1775, a watchmaker named Alexander Cumming patents the S-trap.
Which is that U-bend pipe under every single sink and toilet today.
Deceptively simple. That bend traps a little bit of water in the pipe. That water creates a physical barrier, a plug. Waste goes through it, but the gas from the sewer can't get back up.
It's a gas mask for your house.
Perfectly put. Without the S-trap, modern indoor plumbing is literally impossible.
Okay, so that's the smell sorted. But let's quickly break down the flush itself. I think we all just push the button and take it for granted.
It's pure physics. It's a siphon. When you push the handle, a large volume of water rushes from the tank into the bowl.
Okay.
That rush of water goes over the top of the S-trap, filling the pipe completely and pushing out all the air.
And that creates a vacuum, right? Exactly. It creates a siphon. Gravity is pulling the water down the pipe, which creates a low-pressure zone that sucks the rest of the water and waste from the bowl right behind it.
So it's not just falling, it's being actively pulled.
Correct. And that gurgling sound you hear at the very end.
Yeah, that final suck.
That's the sound of air rushing back in, breaking the siphon. The bowl refills, the water plug is back in place, and you're ready to go again.
No motors, just physics. Incredible. Now, before we move on, we have to talk about Thomas Crapper.
Oh, poor Thomas Crapper.
Everyone thinks he invented the toilet.
He did not. Harrington had the flush, Cumming had the trap. Crapper was a brilliant plumber and a fantastic marketer in the late 1800s. He made improvements to the tank mechanisms, the ballcock system, and he just stamped his name on everything.
So it was just really good branding.
Great branding. American soldiers in World War I saw his name on cisterns all over Britain, and slang just stuck.
All right, so we've got the history, we got the mechanics. Why does all this matter so much?
Because plumbing is, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, the single most effective public health technology ever invented.
More than vaccines or antibiotics.
In terms of sheer scale and lives saved, absolutely. The simple act of separating human waste from drinking water stops cholera, typhoid, dysentery, polio, hepatitis A. The list goes on.
It's the frontline defense.
It is preventative medicine for an entire civilization. Which brings us back to London today. Because when that barrier is threatened, the consequences are immediate.
Right. Basal's jet system was a miracle, but he built it for a city of, what, maybe 4 million? Tops?
He actually did over-engineer it for future growth, but he couldn't have possibly imagined a city of nearly 9 million people.
So what's the problem now?
The system is just overwhelmed, especially when it rains heavily. The old sewers carry both rainwater and sewage. When there's a storm, they fill up instantly.
And to stop sewage backing up into people's houses.
The system is designed with emergency overflows that dump the excess mix of rainwater and raw sewage straight back into the Thames.
We're back to square one.
Not quite as bad as 1858, but millions of tons of untreated sewage still go into the river every year.
So what's the 21st century solution?
Another Basel jet level project. It's called the Thames Tideway Tunnel, or the Super Sewer.
Sounds impressive.
It is. It's a 25-kilometer-long tunnel running 60 meters deep under the riverbed. It's basically a gigantic storage tank that will capture all that overflow and hold it until it can be properly treated.
It's amazing that a high-tech city is still solving this problem by digging massive tunnels.
Some principles of engineering are just timeless. But the repair work has gotten very high-tech, trenchless repair.
Oh, this is the thing where they don't have to dig up the whole street anymore.
Exactly. They can use something called pipelining. They feed a resin-coated liner into the old broken pipe, inflate it like a balloon, and cure it with UV light. It creates a brand new, seamless pipe right inside the old one.
That's incredible, like surgery for the streets. So looking ahead, what's the future of the toilet?
Well, it's getting smarter. Japan has been the pioneer here for decades.
The heated seats, the bidets, the automatic lids. I want one.
But it's moving beyond just comfort. There are experimental toilets now that can analyze your waste in real time.
A health checkup in your bathroom.
Think about it. Your waste is a goldmine of biological data. It could check your urine for glucose to monitor diabetes, or screen for early markers of disease. The toilet could become a primary health monitoring device.
That is simultaneously amazing and a little bit terrifying.
But the really big issue looming over all of this isn't gadgets, it's water. An old toilet used 7 or 8 gallons a flush. A new one uses just over 1. But even that might be too much in the future.
That's a great point. We spend all this energy making water clean enough to drink just to use it as a conveyor belt to move our waste.
Precisely. The future might have to be waterless toilets, or systems that use recycled gray water. The whole concept of the flush might need to be reinvented.
It's funny, we started with the Great Stink, a crisis born from a lack of infrastructure, and now we're staring down new crises, water scarcity, overpopulation. But seeing what they're doing with the super sewer, it feels hopeful.
It should. It proves that these are solvable engineering problems as long as we have the will to invest in them.
So, to wrap up, we went from the bad air of miasma theory to the glorious cathedrals of sewage, the simple genius of the S-trap, and now to smart toilets that might just save your life.
It's been quite a journey, down the drain and back.
I'll tell you this, I will never hear that little gurgling sound at the end of a flush the same way again.
And you shouldn't. That's the sound of public health. It's the sound of civilization humming along smoothly.
So true. And here's a final thought to take with you. We built our modern world on the assumption that we can use clean, fresh water to whisk our problems away. But as that water becomes one of our most precious resources, will the flush toilet even survive another century? Or will our grandkids think of our ceramic thrones as unbelievably primitive and wasteful?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it?